Howdy folks, welcome to the next part here. I believe this is number 8, and we're going to continue with our little thingy here, our AI stuff. And so I made a few notes up here of what I wanted to do, and so I wanted to get some smooth player movement, and probably instead of doing the projecting ahead of behind and all that stuff, probably just do like maybe a target within a certain radius of the player. And eventually we're going to improve graphics too so that it looks better. And so anyway, that's more just for, you know, practice and fun kind of thing. But the first thing I wanted to do, if I can recall here, was I wanted to fix this problem with the dudes disappearing into the walls. And I'll show you what I mean. Is sometimes they end up like this guy, the orange guy here, is inside the wall, and I'm not sure why, and so we need to figure that out. And where did the red one even, or no, we've got 4 of them. Okay, so these guys are not there because we have this issue too. That's something we can work out later. But yeah, they end up inside the walls, and so we need to figure out why they're doing that. And I think they're pathing into the wall somehow. And so what I want to do is we're going to basically find the situation, because remember last time we wrote code that ensured that they wouldn't start inside a wall. So they're apparently moving into one. So this is where the enemies actually move, if you recall. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go bool old flag equals, and what we're going to do is go block, and we need an X and Y, and so we're going to go enemy X, X, I, and enemy Y, I. So basically this is going to say true or false whether or not there's a block at this point. And so then we're going to go like this. Actually, we don't need that. What we can do is go if not old flag, and that. So if the new block that they're in is blocked and the old block that they were in was not blocked, then we need to do a stop. Is there a stop? No. I don't know if there's like a do nothing, but we could probably just go, you know, int L equals 0, something like that. Okay, so I just want to put a breakpoint here, and I'm sure there's another way to do that, and this is stupid, but yeah. All right, so we're going to do this, and we're just going to see if that pops up. There we go. Okay, so Y, our problem is that we have an enemy trail X and Y. Okay, so apparently they're pathing through the blocks, and this has got to be number 2, right? This is going to be number 2? It's number 1. It's number 1. Their current position is number 2 on the trail. So they are at 20, and let's see, 10. I'm guessing that no, because they're starting. Okay, well, I'm going to have to look at this, and I'm going to spend some time some quality time figuring out what this is, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so first of all, just basically tabbing over to this and looking at this, it's pathing through the walls. Why is it doing this? Is there something wrong? We've got a logic error somewhere in the creating a path. And see, it's not just the first step. There are some paths here that for some reason are trying to go right through the walls. And so I need to figure out why it's doing that. So yeah, let me take a look at the creating a path because when it's trying to create a path, I'm sure there's probably some like X and Y that didn't get fixed into there. So if you recall, this is our start of the AI here. So when it needs to make a new trail, we're going to go this, and then it's going to choose a target. That's fine. Okay, so this is where we're starting out. And we are starting out at the target and working our way back. So search cells, and where is here's our block. So this is the problem that we're running into here, is for some reason it is not checking. Let me see. We've got not block, if not block, not block, if not block. Is there any common element as far as, so here it's going through it when it's going down, and this way it's going to the right. This one is going to the right. This one's going to the right. So why don't we let this run some more? That one is going down. So I'm just wondering if there's any ones where it can go to the left. So why don't we get moving over here? Move over here, and we'll get over to the right of it, and we'll see if we can get them to path through walls to go to the right. See, it's doing it on the upward, and it's doing it, yeah, it is going, so it's in all directions. So I wonder why it's doing that. Okay, well, I'm going to have to look at this code, and I'll see if I can figure it out. Give me another minute. Okay, I think what we need to do is, because it might be that it's also when we add, if you remember, we figure out all of the flood fill and then we pick our path from there. Maybe it's doing it when it's picking the path. And so I think what we need to do is we're going to turn back on our little debug feature, our show search. If you recall, it puts the text in here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do that, and we're going to write our one thing there, and then we're going to copy this code, and we're going to then go through and put in our path. So yeah, let me see. If is path. Yeah, if is path. So I'm just trying to think of how I'm going to do that. Because is the enemy trail X and enemy trail Y? Yeah, okay. So if enemy trail X, let me see, so we need to do this for int equals 0, I is less than trail length. And what is that going to be? We're going to call it J. Let's call it E. Yeah. Okay. And I plus plus, and we're going to go like this. So what I want to do is I want to get the enemy number. There we go. So we want to pass the enemy number to this when we call it, so that we know which enemy's trail length we're checking. So E, what is our enemy trail? That's the number and that's the position. Okay, so we're going to go E and then I. And then we're going to do the same thing with Y. So if the, yeah, okay, let's go like this, bool is trail equals false if enemy trail E, what am I looking for? Oh, block. No. If this equals X, I'm sorry, and that equals Y. Whoops. So if our current position, because we're looking at each X and Y thing, if our current X and Y position is the same as any of the things on this whole trail, then we're going to go is trail equals true. So that way we're just going to flag things that are on the trail. We can do that. We don't need to make this efficient. It's a debug thing. I don't care if it checks all of them every time. That's fine. And then we're going to go if is trail, then s plus equals path. There we go. Comma. So it's going to show the path there instead. And then we're going to go else this there. Okay, so otherwise it's just going to do the regular thing. So we can have it overlay what's on here, and then we can look at it with the blocks too. And hopefully this will let us do that. And what is it telling us is wrong with this? I'm not sure what it's telling us is wrong with that. So let's go to where it calls this show search, comma I. There we go. Okay, let's see if it still gives us that. No? Huh. Adding a parameter will prevent the debug session. Okay, that's fine. I don't need to continue this particular debug session. Okay, so we're gonna let it go like this, and then we're going to stop at, because, well, let me see. We want to show this when it's done picking the trail, right? Like that. Okay, let's try this, and we'll see. And int k equals 0. We're going to add a breakpoint. I know there's a way to add a break. I just don't want to look it up at this point and bore you guys with that. So I'm sure there's like a do nothing, a no op. Okay, so if we look at our output, do we have a path anywhere on here? Yeah, we have a path. Okay, so it's got to be right here. It's got to be right here. So we're going to go back into this, and we're going to go delete all. We're going to go text to columns. Text to columns. There we go. Comma separated. There we go. Okay. So where is our path is here. Okay, so there's our 1. Because it's going all the way to the player, right? So I guess what I need to find is I need to find a place where instead of doing all of this, let me try, let's put this back in. And we're going to go, we're going to check if this, and we want it to be true. Yeah, so if it's true, and then we also have a trail here, and we have a block that's put in there, and something is wrong with that. Something went wrong there, and I just need to, I need this to happen while we're choosing stuff instead of after the fact. So why don't I just do that? Let's get rid of this. Let's leave this alone for right now because we're going to comment it back out again. So why don't we have it, we're choosing here if blah, 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 blah. And we're choosing our trail there. So yeah, we're just going to expand this all out. Need to make this readable. There we go. Okay, we're going to expand all these out and make this readable because it's pretty obnoxious right now. Let me see if it'll let me. No, it won't. Okay. And that, we're going to do the same thing here. And that. And one more here. Get all these expanded out. Make our code a little bit more readable. And we can leave a little space here too. So we're going to go like this. And then on these, what we want to do is, so this is our thing. So if we're going to go if block cx comma cy, right? Let's see, p. There we go. Okay, so we're just going to do that, and we're going to add this little snippet into each of these so that when we when it picks a spot on the trail, we can actually get rid of this. So when it picks a spot on the trail, and it's going to double check, because it's got to be doing that when it goes through a trail. It's got to be doing it at this point, and we want to see why. We're going to look at all the variables and the conditions and why it's picking something that went through, that somehow went through. Is it that our search cells, you know, are already matching that or what? So let's go, let's try it now. See what happens. And so our blue and our orange ended up inside things. Let's try resetting it. There we go. See if we can move around here and see if we can get them to see. It's pathing through there. Why isn't it? That was weird. See, it's showing, the blue one was showing it was going through a thing. So why is it not stopping at that point? Let's see here. See this here, it's showing that it's going through the path. Let's try running it again. Let's see what happens here. Apparently, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. So apparently it's not at this point. It's not happening at that point. Let's try it again. See what we get. See, we've got stuff. We had blue that went all the way through all that stuff, didn't we? Let's try it again. Player keeps ending up inside those things too. Let's try this again. So did it end up with any of them in there? No, it didn't. Okay. See how far we can get away. See if we can get it to... Huh. It almost seems like on the initial thing is where it's... Now see, the blue one there was going through. It sure isn't doing it as much now as it was. Here, let's get in the corner somewhere so that we're far away from these. Let's try this again. Yeah, that's weird because it's showing it, but it's not popping in. Let's try running it again. Let's give this a couple more tries. See, it's doing it there. And it got stuck in, it even got stuck, but it never, okay, so apparently it's not in this. It's not doing it here. Either that or it's not looking up the block, because the trail best. Okay, so if we do that, are we, you know what? Am I doing something? I'm wondering if this 0 and 1 stuff is where we're having problems. -1. -1 and 1. No, it doesn't seem to be. Okay, I need to go through. I think what we need to do is we've add that to the trail. So let's try this. If TX and TY. Okay, let's try it now and see if we can get it to do it. Why is it not? That's really messed up. Why is it not showing up? Because see, this is pathing through several of them. So how is it? Oh, you know what? Is that just when it's? Is that just when it's first loading? I wonder if that's what's going on, is it's choosing these trails before it's done. You know what? That might be the problem. It's choosing the trails before the stuff is initialized. Maybe? Let's see. So once it's initialized, I thought I saw it going through some before. Huh. No, it seems like maybe it's just once it's initialized. So what we need to do is make sure that it's done initializing the blocks before it goes, which is here. So this main loop is running while this stuff is still going on. So that's what we need to do, is we need to make a flag that will turn off. Let's go like this. We're going to add in is equals. Let's start it out as true. And what we're going to do is we're going to go down here, and when we initialize the enemies, that shouldn't be a problem because that's not taking thing. But this one is doing over multiple ticks. So we're going to go is calculating equals true. And tick count for, we're going to go is calculating equals false. I'm just trying to figure out if this actually executes once or if it does it multiple times. Okay, and then on our main loop, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go if is calculating, whoops, return. So that way it only runs this while it's not calculating. No, see, it's still doing it. It was still trying to put stuff through the, it was still trying to put stuff through there. So why? Yeah, something is going on here. Something screwy is going on here. Let me think about this for a minute and I'll be back. Okay, so I see what happened here is, this is our problem, is we have our tick count here and cell tick. So let's go to this And this is where our thing is. Where did our init... let's go back to our init thingy. Where was that? Init blocks. And we need to turn that off. Get this out of here, because that's not where... The problem is that we weren't turning it off correctly. So we need to go... Init blocks, we do need to go is calculating. Is true here. And then we need to turn it off in the... where was that? Where was the Celtic? It's down here. So if we go like this, and is less than that, else, whoops, is calculating equals false. Okay, so we can have that turn off. We should be able to, it should be able to do that now. We can have it turn off. There we go. Okay. So we still have the orange and the red. Let's restart it and see what happened here. Let's restart it and see what happened with these guys. Did the yellow start inside a block? I think they're still initializing their positions before the thing is done too. So let's go like init enemies, because we need this to happen after the calculation is done. So where is that? Yeah, see, it's doing it here. It's doing it before all that stuff is done. So we're going to get that out of there, and we're going to have that go back during here. Let me see. If tick count equals max ticks, else there. So we're gonna put a bracket here. Okay, I know that pretty much technically counts as one line, but as far as the compiler is concerned. So on this one time, it's going to initialize the enemies. So let's see if that works. There we go. Okay, so let's try, and we're gonna reset this until we end up with the player not inside a thing. There we go. And they still can't find a path. There we go. Okay. So now we have the blue one is still trying to path into a solid block at the very end of its thing sometimes, and I'm not sure what's up with that. I'm wondering if that's a matter of my pointer is actually going past the end of where it needs to be. Let's see. Why don't we let the blue... see if we can get the blue. There we go. See if the blue will go into the... No, see, it's not going into that, so that's fine. That's just the target or whatever. That's what that is. That's the target. Because we are drawing the actual target and not just the path. Okay. So we've got that worked out. We've got that worked out. And so the other thing we need to do is we need to make this movement smooth and everything. So basically when the player hits a key, it just turns on the movement. And so instead of going tap, 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 you know, it's more like a Pac-Man type movement where you just hold down the key and that's, you know, your movement is left or right and all that stuff. And so we're going to see, I think we have a few minutes to continue on this. Let me get this code cleaned up too. And yeah, let me get this code cleaned up. I'm going to take this stuff out of here and I'm going to check how much time we've used up. So see if we have time to continue on this. So I'll be back in a second. Okay, we've got about 10-15 minutes left here, I think. So I think we can do some more stuff. So what I want to do is I want to fix the player movement. We're going to make it so that the player just goes after you press a key. And then when you let up a key, I think what we'll do is we'll do a private key up. So we need to go to here. And let's see if we've got a key up. Let me see here. Let's go to events, key up. There we go. Okay, so we can go and key up like that. And that's going to create this. There we go. And then we can go, where's our key down? Where did our key down go, right? Let's go find that. I think that's way at the bottom, isn't it? Yep. So we're going to put that down here just so we can see our stuff together, and we can go, we need to make a mode here. We'll just add in our, we're going to do integer maybe. Yeah, I think we'll do int player move. I'm trying to decide whether we want to do move x and y or just have, so what we can do is we can have the actual like vector and just add it each time, or we can have the player, let me see, we can have a number from 0 to 3 or whatever, you know, from 1 to 4 kind of thing, but then we'd have to parse it out each time. So I think we'll do this, player move x, player move y, and so then what we're going to do is when we go to player y plus plus, instead of doing this stuff, we're going to do player move y equals 1. And so that's going to be the y movement speed, basically. And so let me see if player, I need to decide whether we're going to check this as soon as it is done. I think that's what we'll do, is we'll check this as soon as, before the player even tries to move, then we'll do it. Okay, so we'll go like this, and we'll go if player y plus 1, and then player y plus 1, and we're going to get rid of this, and let's see, because we want to basically make sure that, so we don't need this either, we want to make sure that the player is not going to be moving through, I'm not sure if we're going to need that or not, make sure the player is not moving through something. So if player y plus 1 is less than, and block, so we need to do that. So that way, if the player is still staying within, if our new position is still within and is also not blocked, then player y move equals 1. And let's put this in brackets, and we'll see if, do we need player moved? So that's going to be the pointer stuff. So this is going to kill our pointer stuff for right now. But that's going to happen, yeah, this is going to happen on a timer instead of every time the player clicks. So we can leave that and we can turn this off. So we can actually just put this in here and not leave it on brackets. Okay, and I'm just trying to decide whether or not we want to, yeah, so what we can do, this is the same thing here. And for the key up, we can go if equals, I'm trying to think, keys down. Yeah, if the player is pressing the down key, that's right. So this is when the down key is let up. Then we can go, if any of these conditions, then player X, let me see. Player move X equals 0 and player move Y equals 0. And we're going to do basically all of these conditions. We're just going to cram it all into one thing. So we're going to go like this, and we're going to put in an OR, and then we're going to do up, left, right. So we're going to go up, we're going to go left, and we're going to go right, and then we're going to close our parentheses. So yeah, why is that still, oh, I've got the or in there, that's why. Okay, so there we go. If you've let up on the keys, it's just going to zero out all of these. So then while this movement is, each tick of the thing, it's going to check to see if the movement is present and add the player's movement speed to it. So we're going to do the same thing here, and we're going to put it in. We're going to go -1, and we need to make sure that we do all of these. Don't miss them, because we end up with a logic error. So there. And then we can get rid of all this stuff. And we're going to do the same thing with the right and the left. So the left is going to be -1, and it's going to be an X on this instead. And you know, the other thing we need to do, is we need to make sure that yeah, we need to shut off the Y. We're not going to let the player move diagonally. So let's put this in here, and we're going to go, nope, this is not correct. This is going to be X -1. Duh. See, that's where you end up with the logic errors. It's checking to see if the space below you is, or above you is empty, and then it moves you to the left. So yeah, get rid of this stuff, and we're going to go like this. We're going to go player X +1, player X +1, player move X = 1. Okay, and so what we're also going to do is we're going to put brackets here and go player move Y = 0. So that way we have all of this. So you're going to have to choose which way you want to go, left or down, you know, kind of thing. And let me see, if we go like this, it's going to be 0 and -1, and then this is going to be 0 and +1. So put these in here. So it's +1, +1, just making sure all our y-axes, and then 0, -1. So this is +1 on the x, +1 on the x. This is -1 on the x. This is -1 on the x. Okay, so now that we've got that, we're going to move these up to where all the other declarations are. Where is it? All of our player stuff. There we go. And so now the other thing we need to do is every so many ticks, so maybe we can do like every 10th tick, so 3 times a second the player can move a block. And we'll go like this, and is this every, let's see where this is called from. Enemy timer is greater than 6. Okay, so maybe we'll do player timer separately. Why don't we do player timer separately? So we can go int player timer equals 10. And then we're going to come down here. Let's go back to this. And we're going to go player timer minus minus, and if timer is, you know what, we should do a plus plus on this. Player timer is greater than or equal to 10. Then we're going to go player moved. And then we're going to go player timer equals 0 again. Should we do 0? Yeah, we'll do 9 here. Okay, so every 10 ticks, it's going to reset it, and then it's going to call this. And so this would be about 3 times a second. And just trying to think, we're going to peak definition here. Is it not finding it? Let's go to definition. Huh. Player timer? What happened there? Player timer. Huh, weird. Equals 0. Okay, let's try that. And now we know that we have a valid, we already know that we have a valid position to move to because we have done that. And so we're going to go here. We're going to move the player X. I'm just trying to decide how this is, yeah, because the player had already moved by the time it called this before. So we're going to go player X plus equals player move X, and then we're going to go player Y plus equals player move Y. So that's going to move the player, and then it's going to create our trail there. So let's see what we've got. If we run this, it should work now. We'll see. There we go. Okay, so I'm holding it down. Yep, I'm holding it down and it's moving. There we go. It's kind of confusing with all these guys in here. There we go. Okay. But yeah, it is moving. And it is not letting me, well, it is moving. It is letting me move through stuff. It's letting me move through stuff to the right, and it's letting me move through stuff upward. See if I can move through stuff to the left. Yes, it is. And it's letting me move through stuff downward. Huh. Okay, that's interesting. Not sure why. So we're going to have to debug that. And let's see if we could figure out why. Oh, this is why, duh, because we only checked for the collision the first time. So we're going to go, we're going to do this whole thing. So we're going to go like this, and we're going to go if player X is greater than or equal to max size, and we're going to switch that to or. There's a block at player X, player Y. Then we've collided. So we're going to check for collisions. There, we're out of bounds. So then if we do that, then we're going to go player move X. Actually, we're going to go player X minus equals player move X. And we're going to go player move X equals 0. So we're going to reset it so that the player stops. We're going to put them back where they were, and we're going to move them. The other thing we need to do, because we don't know whether this is positive or negative, so we're going to need to add in is less than or equal to 0. I think if it's equal to max size, because max size is 40, which is the bound plus 1. So I'm thinking this needs to be a 1. So I will double check. And because I don't know if the player starts at 0, 0. If the player is starting at 0, 0, this is going to be a problem. But we're not going to start the player at 0, 0 anyway. And so then we're going to do the same thing here. And we need to switch all of the X's for Y's. So if player Y, or if player Y is less than 1, that's fine. Player Y, whoops. Y and Y. Okay, and I think we switched all the Y's. And player goes valid place, undo last movement, and set to 0. So we're just going to do that. Okay. And that should do it. Let's try it and see what happens now. Can we move through stuff? We cannot move through stuff. We cannot go up. Okay. And you know what? Every 10 seems really painfully slow. So we're going to try every 5 maybe. Let's go like this. And hearing the cats running down the hall. Where is that? Where'd that go? It's in main loop, isn't it? Or no, it's here. It's right here. So let's try 5. It's going to be 0 to 4. Let's try 4. See what happens here. There we go. It's really, really, come on. It's just, it seems to, every time I go from left to right, or from left to down or whatever, it's really bad about that. Apparently I have to let up the left key before I push the other key. So I think what we can do there is when we let up the key, it undoes all of the movement, and that's not good. So this is a problem here. This, if I let up, like if I'm holding down the right key and then I press down and then I let up on the right key, it undoes the down. So you know what I mean. And so we're going to do this, and we're going to separate all these out. So we're going to go like this. We're just going to do that. And then we're going to go if keys up. We're going to go with keys left and keys right. And then so this is going to be this. And this is going to be this. We're going to put if in front of here. If. We're going to get rid of all this junk. There we go. Yeah, it's funny. When I took a class on COBOL, we had to type in a bunch of stuff that was like this big table in the code, and it was hilarious. It's a little side note here. It was hilarious because people were typing in all of the data like one at a time, and here I am like basically, because it was all vertical lined up, and I'm sitting there doing like, I got one hand on the up and left keys, and I'm going, you know, da 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 da, and hitting, you know, a number and up and a number and and it's just funny because you could hear it across the computer lab, where you can hear people like generally typing and stuff, and then you could hear like this. And when I started doing that, it was like all these heads turned to see what was going on. And it's like, sorry, you're just typing way too slow, you know. Okay, so anyway, good thing I saved all that time doing that so that I could waste it telling you that story. But anyway, let's see if this works, and should now. Let's see, go down. There we go. Because I'm just thinking, yeah, that's much better. Because if I'm holding down and then I switch to the left, it like switches it for me. So I can like actually I can be going right and I can hit the up button without ever letting go of the other one, and it swaps it for me. That's what I wanted. This is more like basically the way Pac-Man tends to play on a keyboard. Okay, so we've got this working, and I think I'm satisfied with that. And it doesn't look like we'll be able to go through any of these. Okay, cool. So I think that's going to be it for this one. We've got the player movement down. One thing we're going to try to do is we're going to try to make this look better by smoothing the movement. And so next episode, I think that's what we're going to try to do, is we're going to smooth this out a little bit so that the visual is better and the player is actually like visually moving between this and this, or tweening is usually the term used for that. But anyway, that's going to be it for number, I think this is 8, and I will see you guys in number 9. Later.